Hello, welcome to round 2 in the Formula PlayStation League. It wasn't quite the drama fest we expected last time out in Spa, nor was it the show we experienced in round number 1 of Season 6, but this week brings us to the 5-kilometre Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. My name is Rob Kershaw. I'll be guiding you through the action tonight with the invaluable help of my co-commentator Matthew Vernal. It's a race that has been around now for over 12 years, and Matt, has to be said, after round 1 of 12, we can already start to see who's going to be where come the tail end of the campaign in Mexico in 10 weeks' time.
Yeah, of course, first race always kind of sets a trend, but a lot of races on much different track to Belgium. Walls are a lot closer, a lot easier to make a mistake, so we have to see who does best today, and that might really set the table up for the rest of the season.
Street circuits, of course, as Jolyon Palmer once famously said, you've got to be aware around a street circuit. How much different is it on a street track compared to other circuits, and how much more variable can it be?
It can make a massive difference, you know. It's in Belgium, if you run wide, you push a bit too much for a corner, you've normally got a fair bit of room. Singapore, you do that, you've lost your front wing, you might be out the race. It's really shows how committed the drivers are and how well they can keep it on the limit for a whole race, you know.
JT, the winner last time out in Belgium for round number 1, beating Vapor Canute to the race win. Canute actually finished the race first on track, but a penalty denied him the victory. Vapor Trench, who pushed Canute so hard in last year's championship, losing out by just 1 point, unable to finish in the podium places. As JT just makes his way around. Of course, one difference from last week, Matt, is that it's a dry qualifying session this time.
Yeah, we obviously don't know if it's going to be dry in the race just yet, but it's probably a bit more representative of the pace, I feel, when the dry. In the wet, you know, there's always stuff, drivers might have different setups for the race and that sort of thing. In the dry, you can normally get a pretty good feel who's going to have that bit more pace.
As always, let us know in the comments section who you think's going to win the Grand Prix, and if you're feeling extra daring, who's going to win the World Championship. But that is, of course, quite a long way off, as Matt said. Quite a few races to go between now and the end of the season as JT begins his first flying lap of the session. Really bouncing over the curb onto the DRS straight. A little bit of traffic in front of him, which he'll need to get out of the way. Of course, it's a lot more difficult to negotiate traffic on a street circuit.
It's not too bad around Singapore compared to, say, a Monaco. Of course, you have a bit more room to work with. The track is a bit longer. It's more easier to find that space out there, you know. Really getting out the way of those two drivers.
Very well done from one of the McLaren drivers, which I believe was Chiak Prentice, I think. Drawn on that lap, so that's just a guess, really. But JT then, as he exits turn 13 and gets past the slow-moving AlphaTauri. So at the minute, all the traffic doing well to just stay out of the way and stay clear. JT, our championship leader after his victory in Belgium, walked into Season 6, returned after winning the championship in Season 4, and well, bagged himself quite a good reputation on his return. Got a win, 3 podiums, 3 pole positions as well. Ooh, a little bit time has JT.
He did lag through the previous. Yeah, he's pitted. So.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of lag, but also a little bit of mistake from JT. Vapor Cobalt in the has taken P1. He's beaten immediately by Kasu. Got himself a podium finish in Belgium in round number 1, and it's a 1:34.9 for the AlphaTauri driver. So a strong lap from him. There's Vapor Canute. Towards turn 7 he goes, and well, through 8, and he's invalidated his lap actually as Canute, so he's going to have to go round again in the Williams, or either that or to come back into the pits. How bad is it on the tyres here if you throw away a qualifying lap, Matt?
It's kind of one of those tracks in the middle, really. It's not awful on tyre wear in my experience, but it's not the sort of track where you can maybe, I don't think you could really do a second run on, especially the softs round here, because you'd be compromising yourself so much in the race. As Vapor King goes down an exit road there.
Yeah, Vapor King going off. I'm not sure exactly what that was in aid of, whether he was just letting someone through, but why would he go that far wide, I wonder?
Well, this isn't poor Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, he's not reversed into anyone, so good job from him. There's Harrison. in the Red Bull, who was actually on for a pretty strong result, strong points finish, but got a penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, which cost him any chance of victory. And sadly, with really worked against him, but it was a strong performance from Harrison on his Division 1 debut, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, he'd probably be very disappointed with that penalty. He had very good pace in the race even, and probably looking to make amends today. Really try and make a mark, try and get maybe near the podium possibly.
He got 3 podiums in Division 2 last season with 3 wins. All of his wins were podium finishes. As well, he backed off towards the end of the lap there. 138.6 from the Rebel driver. Luke Prentice has just been beaten by Jack Prentice. 137.0 from the McLaren driver. So the brotherly battle going on at the Papaya team, and Jack Prentice winning that after the first race in Belgium, and currently winning it here as well in Singapore. So 10 drivers having set lap times, 10 yet to set laps. Cobalt says he got blocked on his lap, but he still managed to go second with a 135.4. So if he doesn't have any traffic on his next run, then just wonder if that could be a pole position run. But we're still waiting, of course, for the likes of JT and Vapor Canoe, and Vapor Trench for that matter, to show their hand in terms of pace, with over 11 minutes to go left in qualifying.
We've seen a few possibly good laps being invalidated so far. Singapore is one of those tracks where you're really trying to gain every inch over those curbs, and it's very easy to just cut it a little bit too much and just throw away a really good lap. I mean, you look at their Carvin Wall.
One for Carvin, 134.7.
You look how close he was there to losing a couple of those corners, and that's the difference between pole and in the midfield, and suddenly you're in a collision, you know?
All about risks in league racing most of the time, and Vapor 144.4. That's a very Lewis Hamilton-esque lap time in terms of numbers, but certainly not a Lewis Hamilton-esque lap time in terms of pace. P12.
I think he actually might have stayed out after he validated his first lap, you know, so that's his second lap on that set of tyres.
But it certainly hasn't been a very long time, has it, since his last attempt. So, yeah, I guess that shows the tyre wear, potentially, around this circuit. There is Vapor King in the AlphaTauri. It has his lap invalidated as he just turns in too early, so that'll be another go round for him. Vapor Trench has gone out on the soft compound of tyre. On the timing screens it was showing as medium, but yeah, it is the softs. Taking as under the bridge he goes through turn 18.
One driver, of course, to look out for today. TRT James, the winner here last season, which I believe was in a wet weather race or a changing conditions race
for Racing Point. It was actually as a reserve driver as well. He got a full-time seat as a result of that. As Vapor Trench goes P1, 134.6, the first real statement from him in the opening 2 rounds of the season.
Of course, TRT James will also be looking to bounce back from Belgium, where I think it'd be fair to say he had a pretty miserable race.
It was awful for Renault. Both Ralphio and James failing to finish as he invalidates his lap time in the Renault. He has got out on the medium compound of tyre, but hasn't served him particularly well there as he throws away a lap. So
I think Vapor Canoe is about to come over the line, actually. Let's see where he ends up.
He's just come into the pits because he invalidated his lap again. Yeah, that was...
We'll be hoping he sets a better lap time, then, because otherwise there's be some very warm tyres for the start of a race.
Just under 9 minutes to go for him to manage that. There's Vapor Shea in the Ferrari.
So, Rob, who do you think will be the driver to look out for today? Obviously, everyone kind of knows your Canoes and JTs. Is there anyone you think possibly under the radar who might impress today?
I think the man who's just taken P1, Vapor Trench, didn't set the world alight in Belgium. I think that'll be by his own admission as well. Probably been looking for a bit more pace there, and certainly would have been looking to push closer up towards the podium position. So I would imagine that Vapor Trench will be looking for a better performance here, and he is currently in P1. What about you?
I think Hasso, actually. He had some very good pace around Belgium, and I think there's a bit more pace in that car yet as well in quali. I think he could end up on the front row.
Off into the pits, so still waiting for another 6 drivers to set their lap times between now and the end of the session. Wins from pole here, there's 8 of them. So Singapore, of course, a track that is notoriously difficult to overtake at. And 8 wins from pole probably prove that.
James been disqualified.
Gets disqualified. So, well, he had a pretty shocking qualifying in Belgium, pretty shocking race as well, and he's now been disqualified from qualifying as TDB. Judged to be at fault for the accident that saw him crash pretty spectacularly out of the Belgian Grand Prix.
I'm finding it interesting, he's invalidated his lap, but he's keeping VRS in hot mode as he loses the M plate off his front wing there.
So he's certainly not backwards and coming forwards in the racing point. He's going to have to come back into the pits, change that front wing, get himself onto a fresh set of tyres as well, and come around again. But a lot of lap times, Matt, being invalidated.
Yeah, Singapore is one of those tracks where, you know, a lot of drivers will be on a similar pace. It's really all about how close you can get it to the wall and how willing you are to cut those corners. It's, I think we could see a few penalties today as well, drivers, when the tyres start to wear, and maybe a bit of front wing damage, of course. Very narrow turn one, so it's you know, it's very easy to pick up a time penalty here. Yeah,
it will certainly be something to look out for. As JT then, well, he's backed out of another lap, but looks of it, unless that was just an outlap. But I don't think it was, because he wasn't showing as an outlap on the screen, and he has just peeled back into the pits then. So, yeah, this is interesting. A lot of our front runners struggling to put a lap together.
Yeah, only 6 minutes left now as well. That time pressure starts to creep in a bit. By the time you're getting out of the pits, that's maybe only one more flying lap. It's, you know, a bit of pressure now creeping up on some of the front runners, maybe.
Got a pretty strong start for him as he scored a points finish in Belgium. Failed to do so in his first race for McLaren last season. Was outperformed massively by his teammate Vapor Trench, out-qualified 9-1, out-raced 10-0. And, well, he hasn't really got life any easier, because he's, this time, coming up against the world champion, Vapor Canoe, who was crowned the champion after that late, dramatic Grand Prix in Bahrain.
Oh, as he invalidates another... Everyone's invalidating laps through that corner. That's a very tricky corner to get right, actually.
Yeah, a lot of lap times going red, as the drivers look to gain as much of an advantage as possible without doing so illegally. And so far, not many drivers have been able to do that. But it is Vapor Trench, with just over 5 minutes to go, who has mastered the Singapore circuit and is on provisional pole position from Carwin Robb. Cobalt says he got blocked again.
Maybe something for the stewards to look at. I mean, if he feels it's impeded his lap too much, maybe.
Is it just difficult, though, sometimes to get out of the way, especially on a narrow track where there's a lot of blind corners, blind exits?
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, you cut a corner or you try and, like, dive to the inside, and suddenly you've slightly overcooked it and you're in the wall, and, you know, there goes your front wing. It compromises you as well, then. It can be tricky round here. Especially through, like, say, the third sector, which is quite narrow and medium speed corners. It's difficult to find a point to get out of the way oftentimes.
Vapor King has just backed out of a lap in the Alpha Tauri, so he's going to have to go around again. They are running out of time here, actually, to set one. Vapor Matt, JT, Vapor King, TDB, some pretty big names in there that he gets to set laps. And Vapor Canoe still down in P15, 144.4. So Vapor Trench will certainly be hoping that it stays similar to this between now and the end of the session.
I don't know how correct that was, but apparently Vapor King just set a purple first sector when you were watching him. I don't know how correct that one was, though.
It kind of, because he was going very slowly indeed, so I think that was just Masters being brilliant, as always. You run out of superlatives for them, really.
Kyle Wobb now coming on to his flying lap. He was claiming in the chat earlier he is the fastest in the world on Singapore on time trial.
Yeah.
So.
And Vapor Trench immediately called that out as lies, but we're about to find out if he is the quickest in the Formula PlayStation League around at Singapore.
You can see they're just getting every inch into the entrance of turn 1, just halfway over the line. Turn 3, but yes, it's wider than a lot of people think. You can carry more speed through there a lot of the time.
Think he was a bit cautious there?
Yeah, I think he missed his turning point because he seemed to back off halfway through the corner.
Yeah.
Of course, if you mess this lap up now, then you probably don't have time to get back to the pits and get out again for a flying lap. So
Harry says, "Go on, Carwin." Well,
he set up purple sector 1 according to Cody, so he might be on pace here.
Well, who knows? I mean, it's lagging everywhere, so he might be on a flying lap. He might be backing off. Who knows? We'll find out at the end of this lap.
This is probably, for me, the most tricky part of the track to go fast through there, because the walls are so close. It gets really claustrophobic under that bridge. As he goes on to one of the new features of the track on F 2020, of course, this second DRS straight in Sector 2.
Do you think it adds much?
I don't think it'll make much difference, because the next turn isn't really an overtaking spot. It's not a heavy braking zone particularly, and the next corner isn't far after it, so I don't think many drivers will try for an overtake there, to be honest.
A win and 2 podiums last season for Carwin Robb in the 6 races that he had in the Formula PlayStation League. Debuted excellently in the Haas team, now at Red Bull. As
It's been a very good lap from Carwin Robb so far.
This is pacey, and across the line,
he takes pole.
P1. So 134.1, and all of a sudden here,
ahead as well. That's a very quick lap.
Vapor Trench has got some work to do, as has Cobalt and Kasu. So Carwin Robb, quickest of the bunch at the moment.
I was going to say, backing up his claims from earlier, possibly.
Yeah, maybe he really is the quickest round time trial. Oh, and there's a little bit of drama going on here. McLaren going slowly. There's quite a bit of traffic for Kasu to negotiate in the Alpha Tauri, as the racing point, I believe, of Elian just moved out of his way.
And Harry very happy about Carwin Robb getting a provisional pole so far. Of course, though, Trench, Cobalt, and, well, Kasu's on his flying lap.
A bit wide, though, for Kasu. Turn 13 on the mediums, interestingly.
I don't know if he'll set a faster than a 134.9 on mediums, to be honest. I'm quite surprised he hasn't just tried to go for pole, maybe.
Yes, we'll see if he can pull that off. Cobalt, meanwhile, has gone out on a lap. So we get a lovely view from the rear wing looking forwards. Currently P3 is Cobalt. Had a little bit of a tough time of it last season. Was certainly one to watch out for in his Division 1 debut in Season 5. Season 6 was just a bit of an endurance for him, really. 10 races, 1 podium.
Slightly slower personal best-wise through Sector 1, so maybe there's a bit of time to find somewhere later in the lap.
Oh, JT's out of the session. Unbelievable. As a Vapor Canoe goes P1.
Oh,
brilliant lap on the mediums as well.
On the mediums.
Grow up. He's not done that. A 134.1 on medium tyres from Vapor Canoe.
He must have been.
And Vapor Trench is out as well. So all of a sudden, Vapor Canoe, who was looking like he was really struggling for lap times, just nerfed P1. A brilliant lap from him right at the end of the session. The checkered flag is about to fall. Ralchio retiring as well. Here comes Vapor Shea. P3 for him as he encroaches into that top 4. Vapor Trench, who was looking certain for pole a little bit earlier on, is now down to P4. What about Cobalt in the Haas? Has he managed to improve on what was a tricky first sector? He's riding the curbs, looking for as much time as he can possibly find. He's run out of ERS as Carwin Robb goes quicker, can't improve on P2. Cobalt can't improve on P5. And Kasu's had his lap invalidated. So he's P6. What about Elian now? In the racing point, he's got some traffic in the shape, I believe, of it's Harrison.
He is currently 4 tenths up on his personal best as well, which should put him up to 7th currently if he keeps that pace.
I think Harrison's on a flying lap as well. So these two have met each other, both on flying laps. So, this is so awkward for Elian. Of course, Harrison has no obligation to get out of the way. He's on a flying lap himself, so he doesn't have to move over. But this will be infuriating for Elian.
I was going to say, I would love to hear the mic of Elian now. I can't imagine there's pleasant words being said. As he does go
P7, so it's a good lap. Harrison unable to improve. P16 for him, as Vapor King still waiting on him to set a lap. He's lost his front nose, so he's not going to be able to improve on that lap.
I think Kex Vendel as well might be a bit disappointed with qualifying. As he says in the comments, he was twice purple through Sector 2. He's damaged his wing twice in Sector 3, so can be a bit disappointed there.
Lord Alam goes P7. Jack Prentice just went P7 before that as well, so that pushes Elian down to 9th.
He was.
So it was looking good for him there. I just wonder how much quicker he could have gone without that. Not incident, but just being held up by Harrison.
The talk of a qualifying, though, has to be Vapor Canoe. Pole position on the medium tyre. I mean,
an unbelievable lap from Vapor Canoe. As you say, medium tyres, he'll get the advantage strategically now of starting on medium. But to take pole like that, especially after Carwin Robb's lap going 5 tenths quicker at the time than Vapor Trench, Extraordinary stuff. Look how close it was as well.
A 5th-place grid penalty as well. That'll drop him right down to 16th or 15th. I think on the grid.
It's a shame for Ralkio. Both Renaults once again having dramas in qualifying. So Canute takes pole from Cohen Rob. Pachet in P3. Trench P4, Cobalt in 5th, Casu takes P6, Lord Alam in 7th, Jack Prentice 8th, Ellie in 9th, Ralkio rounding out the top 10, but he will have a penalty for the Grand Prix. That promotes Matt into the top 10. Kex Vendel in P12, Benja P13, Bazooka Joe 14th, Luke Prentice in 15th, Harrison 16th, Vapor King P17, JT and TDB, two massive names in Division 1. Neither of those drivers setting lap times in qualifying, so prepare to see those two trying to come up from the back over the course of the Singapore Grand Prix. 50% race here around this Marina Bay Street circuit. 5 kilometres, and it is actually one of the longer laps, lap time wise, but of course because of the average speed you end up with a lot more laps over the course of the Grand Prix. 31 laps here. Imagine what 61 laps is like, Matt, especially with the heat in Singapore as well.
I was going to say, Singapore obviously known as one of the most physically demanding races on drivers in real life with the heat and humidity. So I'm sure the drivers today will be thanking their lucky stars that they're sat at home rather than in the actual cockpit of the car.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of an effort nonetheless. I mean, 50% races around here are still not easy, are they? They're still difficult in spite of the fact that laps.
Yeah, it's a tricky race, of course. Who, might have fireworks at the start here. Who can forget a few years ago when Sebastian Vettel kind of blew up his own title hopes?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we aren't late enough in the season to really have something like that happen, but...
No, and Ferrari aren't close enough to the front for that to happen either.
Of course, the straight runs turn 1. Anything can happen,
Formation that then. Vapor Canute was saying earlier that his starts actually aren't very good, but I noticed in Belgium as well. Even he started on pole in Spa, and he got off the line extremely well. Held P1 into turn 1. Never really seemed to get awful starts. I haven't noticed, but certainly a little bit self-deprecating in that regard.
Of course, the mediums though, they're going to give them not as much grip off the start line, so that could be something to watch out for. Maybe Carl and Rob can get a good launch off the start here.
Yeah. How important is the start on a street circuit? I suppose it's probably more important than most of the tracks, or would you not concur?
I think with a 31 lap race though, it's far more about the consistency over the whole race, especially on a track with the wall so close. One mistake and you're out the race here. So for me, I wouldn't be too worried about the start if I was racing. I'd try and keep it steady, try not to lose too many positions, but there's no point going foot to the floor, flying into turn 1 and you're out the race.
You certainly can't win the Grand Prix at turn 1, but you can lose it. As around they come, halfway through the lap on the formation lap.
We have a prediction from the comments of Steve Mack saying Vapor King to clear the back and score some points. So bold prediction there from 17th.
Yeah, P17 on the grid. We have seen here last season, Casu started P18 for Red Bull. Ended up finishing in 2nd place behind James. It was, of course, a wet race, and it was a little bit more unpredictable. But it definitely goes to show that in league races especially, you should never ever give up. And we've got TRT James, TDB and JT. We'll all be hoping that is the case.
Interesting thing to note just before we get back to the grid, JT and TDB on hard tyres to start the race. How long do you think they're going to try and go here then?
I think they're definitely trying a one-stop, aren't they? I can't imagine on the hard without wanting a one-stop strategy. So surely they will.
Well, Amazon Web Services before the race predicted that you could go about 20 laps on the hard, so possibly onto softs at the end, try and put a fresh set on.
A new rule as well for this season, which I failed to mention in Spa, is actually that you get a point for pole position. So Vapor Canute's got 2 points for pole now. Season 7. Reminder that the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, spoke about just there. Fastest lap of the race, you get a point for that regardless of whether you finish the race or not. So you can score points, you can not score points, you could even crash out of the Grand Prix. You've got the fastest lap. And crashing out of the race is certainly not unforeseeable.
Oh, what's happened to the Ferrari?
Vapor Matt, I think, just fell a long way behind and has ghosted through everyone to rejoin the grid. So this position, all 20 cars lined up on the grid. A little bit of a dry one in Spa. What about Singapore? The Singapore Grand Prix underway. Vapor Canute off the well indeed. Vapor Shea as well, alongside Carwin Robin towards turn 1. Vapor Trench looking interested too. Carwin Rob defends the inside and manages to keep hold of the position in the red. Canute leading the Grand Prix, and already a penalty for Benja for a collision with Jack Prentice, and he lost a bit of front wings. Battle with Kex Vendel behind him as well.
I think he's lost his right end plate, or left end plate.
AlphaTauri of Vapor King is also making up ground.
He's
lost most of it. Oh, behind goes the McLaren of Luke Prentice, and safety car deployed. Luke Prentice crashing with Vapor. Matt, those two side by side. A dramatic start in Singapore. Well, it wasn't turn 1. It was a little bit later that the drama occurred.
Absolutely. Also managed to regain P2, but obviously that doesn't matter now because they're all going to be bunched up for the safety car restart anyway.
Yeah, Vapor Shea will be gutted because he got such a good start, but he couldn't do anything with it in turn 1.
Well, Carwin did actually push him very wide. I don't know if you saw, he had to go off on the runoff through turn 2, so... I think so. Turn 1, it's just kind of everyone jostling for position. The car's a lot heavier. I don't think the stewards will probably look at that one, to be honest. But Benja getting a 5-second penalty for severe collision now. But it seems that Jack Prentice didn't lose any time particularly. I don't know if he got spun around, maybe.
It does a bit of a hit for the game to give you a penalty like that, but slowly, as he got a penalty, so the wound, he's lost a large of that in the Alfa Romeo. The good news is, to repair it, which he will. He too far behind the pack, but he will be in last place. Ralkio down to P20, got to P15 of the CB up to 6th place, with TRT James in 7th. Well, down to 8th.
What's happening? Oh, actually that's a safety car, so I thought that was a Renault. I was going to say, do you think any of the soft drivers are going to come in? Because
everybody coming into the pits. And Matt has stayed out, so he leaves the Grand Prix. JT in second place.
Oh!
That would have been an unsafe release for sure. Everybody's coming into the pits. It's probably kind of just telling you who hasn't pitted.
Valkyrie's got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision.
So Jack Prentice involved in 2 collisions, and he's had to wait as well for his teammate Luke Prentice. That's a nightmare. Back.
Everyone's going for the one-stop now. Everyone's on hards or mediums.
Yeah. Oh, and now he's got to wait even longer for the team to get themselves ready. It's almost as painful as Daniel Ricciardo in Monaco a few years ago. He's, on the medium tyres.
And holding him? Yeah, I think well, holding him, or he just wasn't ready to go.
Ooh. Well, that was a long wait and a long pit stop for Jack Prentice. Still at the moment, though, holding on to P6. So, Vendel, I believe,
What's happened to Canute? Did he pit? He's gone onto hard.
Yeah, Canute has pitted onto the hard, so he's now P11, but he's behind.
He's behind TLT James.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, I'm surprised he's pitted there.
Yeah, on the mediums, but he is on the hards to go to the end now.
That's 28 laps, well, 27, 26 by the time you get full racing without any more safety cars.
I mean, quite a few drivers have taken that gamble to go on the hard tyres. Jack Prentice actually in the Discord chat was saying earlier that would be a very strategy, and that has certainly proven the case here. The safety car.
Look at JT up to 5th, TDB up to 6th now as well. They've gained a lot of track position on fresh hard tyres, so they might try and go to the end on those.
The timing screens have finally sorted themselves out, so thanks for that, Cody, once again, as Kex Vendel is now the leader of the Grand Prix, having not P2 Bazooka Joe in 3rd place behind them in the Haas. Haven't actually seen much of Joe tonight.
I'm going to say some different cars up at the front from last week, so...
Yeah, forget what I said earlier about the positions being decided after the first round. Not sure at all. Was stuck grid here, however... a little bit out of position, haven't come into the pits just yet.
Yeah, so it's only the medium runners who didn't pit are going to have to pit again, and I think anyone who went onto the mediums during that stop will have to pit again as well. So certainly still some shaking up to be done, not only in the pit stops but on track as well.
Do you think that these runners now might have actually gained a little bit from the pit stops, because it's unlikely that the guys behind them are going to go to the end anyway?
Yeah, and that's on the hard tyre. You know, they've gained a lot of track position here. Around the track, it can be difficult to overtake on. So
even on the hard, say, this is tough, isn't it, from here?
I would say so, because Singapore can wear the tyres quite quickly if you lock up or spin the rears a bit, you know, because there's a lot of difficult traction zones there where it is quite easy to spin the rears up. It's, you know, it can be difficult to take those rears to the end. It's going to take a lot of nursing, you know, kind of Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez style driving.
Vapor Canoe is P8, so timing the screen is a little reshuffle to top 10.
You gotta think TRT James will be happy, of course, after getting disqualified during qualifying.
Yeah. Horrible qualifying session for him. Up now to 7th place in Singapore. Just a reminder that TRT James is leading a little event. Esports team TRT are running 7:30 on the TRT YouTube channel. Don't forget to check that one out. Of races starting in Silverstone and followed by Japan, Bahrain, Belgium, and Brazil. That in TRT Esports. Well, TRT, IFR, VER, Vapor in there as well.
I think Jack Prentice has pitted again because he's 15 seconds behind and he's on hards. I don't think he went on to hards.
Yeah, because he went on to mediums on the first one, and now he's come back in onto the hards. So I think the game probably put him on the wrong tyre, or he put himself on the wrong tyre. But yeah,
maybe a strategy reshuffle there. Maybe trying to play the long game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he just made a mistake, or the game made a mistake and put him onto the wrong tyre. We have had before in league racing where the drivers are unhappy at the tyre that the game. Down to last place. Safety car is in at the end of this lap, so we're about to see how well a Mercedes leads the pack away in a league race on the safety car restart. Bazooka Joe and Harrison getting a little bit close, so just behind. I
think he might hold it here until the last corner, and he's just going to gun it as you get onto the straight.
Yeah, as we said in Spa last time out, no overtaking until the start finish line. Waiting around on Tony has gone for it now, going in towards the final corner. Has Matt gone with
Joe's got a good start.
Bazooka Joe with a really good start down the inside of Vapor Matt and into second place in the Singapore Grand Prix. Vapor Matt caught napping off the safety car restart, and it's Bazooka Joe who gets himself up into second position. And down the order has fallen TRT positions here, and in front of him Vapor Shea.
Side by side.
That's very close indeed. Somehow no five, but still very close indeed. James is behind him. Down the inside now. Shea, that's very close with Trench. And James as well defending for his life from Casu behind him. Almost into the wall goes Shea. And James just been passed by two drivers, Casu and Norton. Into the wall goes Shea. Vapor Shea battling so hard with Vapor Trench, and it's ended in tears. Trench is out.
Trench is retired.
Oh, goodness me. Vapor Trench, who looked on for pole at one point.
How's he lost it there?
I'm no idea.
Someone must have hit him.
He must have got. Well, he's got front wing damage, but he's out of the Grand Prix. What a dramatic start in Singapore.
I'm surprised they haven't got a safety car out. It's a virtual
we've got a VSC, so not quite the real deal, but.
You've got to think Trench is going to be very unhappy with these first two races. P4 around Belgium and then this. It's
yeah, ended up with 5th place in Belgium as well with his penalty. And out of the Grand Prix in the opening 4 laps here in Singapore. What a start! And this is to be a race that really the championship just a little bit. Kex Vendel then still leading the drivers. Of course, it's not a full safety car, so no real advantage in pitting as he just continues around and looks to stay within that delta. Harrison will be looking to avoid getting a penalty this time under the virtual safety car, and you just never know, he could be on the podium finish. And we touched on 27.
Pits again.
Goodness me. Gone. You touched on 27 earlier. The wet weather and the safety cars. It was almost anyone's guess as to who was going to finish on the podium, and it's a very similar story here now, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've got all the guys on the hards trying to go to the end. They could be a major factor later on, of course. The thing to remember is, whilst some of these drivers may not be at the front normally, they are still quick drivers. Bazooka Joe, you know, he might have had a poor race. Kex Vendel again in the midfield last race, but they're still quick guys, you know. It's not going to be easy to overtake them, especially on a track like Singapore.
JT Haslett for 4th place, so all qualifying for him. Really starting to make up ground as Vapor Matt is all over the back of Bazooka Joe, who's struggling to keep that that's
I think there might have been some
the track.
I think there might have been some collisions at the back of the field because Valkyrio's just pitted as well.
Let's have a look here at Vapor Map because he's sitting here on Bazooka Joe. Is he going to go down the inside? Hasn't quite got the overspeed going into turn 4.
A very difficult place to overtake as well.
Oh, here we go. There he is. Cybertron. That's a great exit from Vapor Matt. Can he go round the outside? Yes, he can. That's a really good move from the Ferrari. Outstanding stuff from Vapor Matt. And he takes back second place. He lost the safety car restart. And Bazooka Joe back down to third.
He's got Kex Vendo in his sights as well. We'll have to see how Kex handles this gap now. But he's pulled away a bit on that last lap, of course. Vapor Matt battling, so...
Yeah. With the fastest lap. Well, Vapor Matt, impressive at the start of his Division 1 career. Division 2 was good for him as well. 5 podiums, 2 wins and a pole position as well, as Benjamin sets the fastest lap, 141.4 from him. Harrison, all about the Bazooka Joe. DRS
so close.
Is he going to have the speed now? He's got JT right behind him, but he's now about to have Bazooka Joe right behind him. And he gets past it, does he? Bazooka Joe defends the inside, gets very close. And look at Stevie as well. Down the inside goes the racing point. Gets into the Alfa Romeo, but JT sticks it round the outside. And now but TDB's still there. He won't go away down the outside here. Surely he can't pull this off. He's going to try it. Can he do it? Oh, it's so close. Look at Vapor Canute as well. He's battling with Co and Rob. TDB couldn't quite get the job done. Lord Alarm now taking advantage. Oh! Spin for Lord Alarm. Into the wall he goes. Got too close to Co and Rob. Ends up taking off his front wing. Will have to come into the pits. And just as it was looking up for Lord Alarm, he smashes that Williams into the barrier.
What a sector of racing we just had. That is amazing. It's TDB
very close to losing it and almost very close to contact with Bazooka Joe. In amongst all that, it's just fallen down to 6th place, so it's been an awful restart since the VSC for Bazooka Joe. TDB up to P5, JT 4th place, Harrison up to 3rd, Vapor Matt still trying to encroach on the lead that Kex Fendel has, and he's doing something good. He's just at the fastest lap of the gets a penalty. James is out! TRT James out again!
An absolutely miserable race for the Renault team once again!
And there he is.
And
he's, the AI driving for him. So he's somehow, I think he's just given up, you know. I think he's just given up.
Yeah.
He's left the session. Jack Prentice out as well. So,
Jack Prentice.
He's had enough.
Hard early on, and then, he just kind of pitted a few times. I don't know if he had damage, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe. I think it could. He's in the
that's where he's lost it.
That's a pretty common crashing spot, actually, here in Singapore, going underneath the bridge, and that's where he's lost it.
Look at that field there. You've got a really bunched up group behind Canute's actually overtaken Bazooka Joe somewhere in all of this as well.
Yeah, he has up to P6. Canute, good spot. So that's him up now to 6th place. But Vapor Matt is now within a second.
You got DRS.
Yes, indeed. And now into turn 14 isn't quite close enough for the move here, but can certainly get closer as he's late on the brakes. And he looks very comfortable here, Vapor Matt, for the lead at the moment.
Harrison not far behind though. He's going to probably have DRS if he keeps gaining on him. Well, not running that wide, but
yeah,
he might have DRS coming down the pit straight in a second as well. So he's also in contention here.
Keep an eye out for JT as well as
he overtakes TDB. I believe JT just did.
Yeah, well, he already had got past him. Yeah, that's just the timing being funny again because he was already a long way ahead.
I'll say.
Luke Prentice just lost a couple of places. He's now behind Co and Rob outside of the point. He's got, if I can talk, he's got Cobalt right behind him. Co and Rob into the pits for Red Bull. So in he comes and he manages to not speed in the pit lane as Jack Prentice did earlier. So 3 drivers out of the Grand Prix: Vapor Trench, TRT James, and Jack Prentice. That's pretty big retirements early on as Vapor Matt is very close as well.
He's within 4/10 on a DRS straight.
Here he comes. It's through turn 5 they go.
Is he going up the inside? No.
Thinks better of it. But Kex Vendel's going to struggle to keep the Ferrari at bay.
Look how close Harrison is now as well. He's right behind them.
This will be infuriating for Matt because he needs to get ahead of him. Otherwise, he's going to have a whole train waiting to pass him.
Yeah, JT's gaining massively now. Yellow flag in sector 2. I think Jack Prentice has crashed? Or Luke Prentice
Luke
has crashed?
Prentice has gone off. Yeah, he's off. So, both McLarens having a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama everywhere here in Singapore as we rejoin the battle. Oh, that's a big move from Harrison. Has he pulled it off?
I think they're side by side.
Side by side now down towards turn 14. Vapor Matt's got the better exit. He's got the inside. He's got the overspeed, and he manages to stay ahead.
Look how close JT is now as well. He's winning this battle.
Back, at least as Harrison doesn't quite manage to get the exit that he wanted, and Vapor Matt survives. That was a huge move down the inside.
That was a dive bomb. I mean, that is a commitment to a move right there.
Matt did well to see it, in fairness, and given the space that he needed. Another collision in round number 2. Kex Vendel takes the opportunity to extend the gap back out to a second.
Look at this train now. We're so close.
Yeah, TDB is now within a second of JT. Well, he's also got Vapor Canute right behind him. Canute the pole sitter looking to roar his way back up into the podium places, but he's in a bit of a DRS train at the moment with TDB right in front. This is already a little bit more of a spectacular Grand Prix than we saw last time out in Belgium.
Oh, Luke has retired now.
Luke's out of the Grand Prix.
Turn 18.
Both McLarens out of the race. Goes through turn 18, and there is the Prentice.
Spot.
Both McLarens crashing out at turn 18. It must be a brother thing. They've
both
lost
family.
it at that corner. That's a miserable race.
Look at how close top 6, all in DRS range, all within 6/10 of each other.
This is unbelievable. It's like a MotoGP race. Vapor Shay, meanwhile, is trying to make his way back. Harrison! Harrison's in the wall! He made an awful mistake in Belgium. He's made another critical error in Singapore.
He's going to have to pit as well.
Yeah, that's a huge front wing damage from the podium places. Now down to 6, and this pistol will put him outside of the points.
And if he pits, that's going to maybe just bring him out in front of Casu, I think. He's going to drop right down the field.
That's an error at a horrible moment. But as you said, Matt, you make a mistake here, you're in the wall.
Yeah, that's it, you know, front wing, maybe you end your race. It's such a dangerous track to drive so quickly on the limit.
Very fine margins indeed around a track like this, and it's been proven plenty of times already in the opening 9 laps.
Oh, JT put it in the wall.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of lag. And I lost it everywhere, but he's still right behind Vapor Matt.
We're in 4 tenths as they go onto the pit straight.
Well, Matt's been trying to take the lead of the Grand Prix for ages, but it looks as though he's going to have to relinquish second place before he can have a shot at doing that. JT not quite close enough for the move. Vapor Canute is still as into the pits now comes Harrison.
The other thing to remember is the medium tyres are going to start to fall off right about now as well. We've had 9 laps of racing on them at this point, you know. They're going to be starting to wear.
Oh, this is so close between these 3 at the front. Here comes Vapor Matt. Kex Vendel is going to have a bit of a struggle defending, but here comes JT trying to go
around the outside.
Can he pull that off?
Oh!
Pushes him off. He's going to go down the inside now. No, he's not. Think better of it. Vapor Matt with a hard, firm defence of second place. And once again manages to keep hold of it. He's still got Alfa Romeo right behind him. And look at TDB as well.
I think, has Lord of Lamb crashed? No, Vapor Canute's crashed in sector 2!
Oh, Canute's gone off, and he's down to P9. I think he has.
He has, oh!
Through goes Benjamin now to take P9. Benjamin's got penalties, but hopefully for him he'll be scoring points in this Grand Prix. But Vapor Canute, who was on pole position, had the win denied in Belgium.
JT's so close. He was within 2 tenths as they went into the corner.
Matt's got wide, and now JT cuts back underneath, but he should, Matt, just about have the track position. Yes, he does.
Just about does. But look at this train. 4 top drivers all so close to each other on such a narrow circuit as well. It's such a great race to watch this one.
Yeah, and well, it was a train of 6 earlier on, but that's been diminished because of the mistakes and crashes that have been going on. And then there were 4. Vendel still heroically defending his lead. I say heroically. He's been able to just extend his advantage when these 3 behind him battle extremely hard as well as Joe losing positions because he's in the pits.
I was going to say, I mean, Kex Vendel's going to be looking in his nose and loving this because every time he sees Matt and JT fighting behind him, he just knows that's more time for him to pull away. Although Matt's very close here as they go down the DRS straight.
Here comes Matt, 2 tenths behind.
Surely!
He's in the slipstream and surely he's got him now. Kex goes to the inside very late. Matt will not be happy about that. Tries to go around the outside. He's off the track.
JT!
The back end. JT's in there as well. Down the inside goes Matt. Has he taken the lead? Look at JT as well. Looking to make this a 3-wide affair. And somehow still holds the slender advantages, still stays ahead in Singapore.
Somehow, this is fantastic. Defending his Kex up.
And Matt almost into the back of him, but he's got a great run now. This is a great chance for Matt, but he's into the back of himself. Look behind as well at JT and TDB. They're looking interested. Oh! Matt's in the wall. No, he's not. No, he's not. The game lagged. Thank goodness for that.
I thought I'd just seen. I couldn't believe that.
Just for a second, it looks as though it was all over for both of them, but Codemasters once again lagging. And
that was like the Hamilton graphic at Silverstone this year.
Trying to give us a heart attack, Codemasters. But Kex Vendel still leads. Matt still in second place.
He's got to do it this time round.
No, he's coming to the pits. Matt's had enough of being stuck. Oh, as he almost loses it coming into the pits. But Matt's had enough of being stuck behind Kex Vendel, so comes into the pits. And what time does he go on to? On the mediums currently. He's now on to...
That's too hard. Yes,
so
he's trying to go to the end on that one.
Do you think he'll manage that from here?
Possibly. It depends how good he is on the tyres. As JT, again, very close as they're going to go down the first ERS straight. He's got the ERS as well.
Can he do what Vapor Matt couldn't do? Can he go down the inside? Can he take the lead in Singapore?
Yes,
he's got the move done. He's got in. JT gets past Kex Vendel. And Kex Vendel's brave defence of the lead finally comes to an end. And JT, winner in Belgium, is on course to be the winner now in Singapore, unless, of course, Vapor Matt can put in some good lap times and make the undercut work.
Well, I mean, he's going to have about, I think, round this track is about 25-30 seconds to make up, so it's, I assume JT is probably not going to pit again, so he's going to have to be a fair bit quicker now over these remaining laps.
TDB is now right behind the Mercedes, and side by side with him trying to go round the outside. That's very close, but he gets him.
The thing is, Kex's tyres are going to be falling off right now. They're going to be really worn at this point, so I'm not surprised.
Mercedes, one of 5 winning constructors here, along with Red Bull, Ferrari, Renault, and McLaren. Renault's won, of course, in 2008, extremely controversial circumstances. One Renault crashing into the wall to let the other win. We've had one Renault crash out of the Grand Prix. As TB, no, he hasn't gone off.
I was going to say, that would be a pretty
think he had.
To hit the wall.
Once again, Codemasters trolling us, but TDB still in second place.
I think Kex has pitted, yes, he has.
Yeah, Kex, well, he's done well to hold on to the lead, but in doing so, he's battered those tyres, and he's onto a set of hards now to try and take him to the end of the Grand Prix. Now, where is Vapor Matt? Is he stuck a little bit? No, he's not. He's in some pretty clear air.
He's got, I think he's got about 5 seconds now until the next car, so...
Yeah, well, let's have a look at Kex here. Where does he should rejoin behind Matt. I don't think Vapor Matt will have any troubles getting ahead. No, he won't. So the Ferrari is in front, but where does he rejoin? Is he going to be level with Benjamin, I wonder? No, he's not.
Well, Harrison, I think, is that his second penalty of the race now as well, so...
Yeah, Harrison at the minute is costing himself a chance at the podium as out of the pits comes Benjamin into P13, the pit exit which was revised after 2009. Excuse me, before 2009 I should say, to just allow a little bit of a safer exit instead of an exit into the firing zone of turn 1. And of course the Singapore sling was removed after 2012. What a shocking, ugly corner that was. Thank goodness the FIA got rid of that one.
I don't know if the time screen's right, but I think TDB might be a little bit closer than a second behind JT here, you know, because he looked quite close out of those corners.
Yeah, the timing screens are all over the place again.
I think he might have been a second. It's going to be close because JT was a second ahead after the last lap. He pulled ahead with TDB fighting Kex, of course, so... I think, is he a second ahead?
No, he's... Well, yeah, I think he's
hasn't got
second
DRS,
cap.
so...
It certainly looks like it. Yeah, he's not TDB, so...
Oh, there you go, it's extended out now. So.
Yeah, 1.7 is the gap between that. Looks a little bit more realistic. And,
oh, JT getting a time penalty!
It's a penalty, so... That's,
what?
Well, that's just not happened, does it? There we go. TDB carrying on, as if...
Finally decided he'd had enough. Kex getting a time penalty as well!
Yeah, penalties everywhere now. And one thing we were saying as well off air, penalties is going to be difficult because if you cut a corner or go wide, you're in the wall. But they're managing it somehow.
There's so many corners you can cut on the inside around this track. Of course, like the final corner, that's very easy to cut. I think it's is it turn 12, or it's one of the turns late on the track anyway, just before the like full 90-degree section, where that's very easy to cut on the inside, both corners as well. So
JT doing a really good job. 2.5 now the gap. B, Ralkio and Matt both getting penalties everywhere you look in Singapore.
Penalties again could play a big part in determining the finishing order here.
Yeah, potentially. At the minute, TDB is to win this Grand Prix. JT's penalty. We don't really enjoy seeing races decided by penalties. It certainly does add in an extra factor for the race leader if he has got a penalty. Second place driver.
I mean, look at this, the two front row sitters now in 10th and 11th.
Yeah, this is
certainly not something you expected to see around Singapore.
This is a race that hasn't gone well for them. Harrison as well is on the back of this train, and he made that mistake a little bit earlier on. Carwin Rob then battling for 9th position with Bazooka Joe. But Vapor Canoe, quite a good run behind him. Had he got the overspeed here, he's going to try and go round the outside. Oh! Does so well to keep that Williams out of the barrier, but he's still somehow side by side with Carwin Rob. This could be a brilliant move if he can pull it off. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Great pass from Vapor Canoe to get ahead of Carwin Rob. Bazooka Joe.
Oh, Vapor Cope's lost it in the last sector at the finish line.
Oh, Cobalt. He's off the track. And oh,
wait, what?
No, oh, he's rejoined. He might have gone off, but I don't really know.
He hasn't. No, he's got damage. So
yeah, he has got damage.
Crash.
So he has gone off, but Codemasters just, I think, made it a bit more dramatic than it really was. But yeah, P6.
We'll have to pit for that though, so that'll drop him right down the order.
Very well. Canoe is now past. Bazooka Joe. So into P9 goes Canoe. Oh, the two Red Bulls. Carwin Rob and Harrison. And Harrison trying to get ahead of Carwin Rob, and down the inside he goes. Oh! Spin there, surely. Yes, he is! Oh, that's a disaster. It's Carwin Rob who's got into the area. So Harrison getting ahead of his teammates.
That's front wing damage as well.
Yeah, the two Red Bulls colliding.
Oh, and he hit the wall again for good effect.
And well, thankfully he didn't lose his suspension at the second impact with the barrier.
But that front wing damage as well. That's going to be red on that side, I'd imagine.
That's an awful outcome for Red Bull, and there will surely be words between Harrison and Carwin Rob after this Grand Prix.
I mean, Carwin Rob's going to be absolutely gutted, isn't he? I mean, qualified on the front row, looking good on pace, and then just...
But how quickly this race has turned. There's still more than half the race to go.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah. Matt and Cobalt going side by side. Matt getting ahead because Cobalt is suffering with this front damage. So Matt in P6 now.
Yellow flag is actually Carwin Rob's retired.
Carwin Rob's out of the race, so he's had enough after that spin. It's him. out. And
Safety car
deployed, so Vapor Shea in the Ferrari.
Oh, JT and
finally going to get that time back.
JT and TDB are going to be absolutely loving that because they can now pit onto fresh mediums.
That's a free pit stop
but
for those two.
JT hasn't pitted, I don't think.
I think the safety car came out just after he passed the pits, although TDB's in the pits, so maybe the safety car fell perfectly for TDB to come into the pits. JT
He's got a 30-second gap. He might be able to get in and out before TDB overtakes him.
It just depends if how that gap fluctuates between now and the
Vapor
end of the lap.
hasn't pitted, I don't think. Neither has Kex for that matter, because they did pit quite recently onto hard. So
yeah, well, they might as well have cut their losses and gone onto a set of soft, surely, towards the end, or mediums rather. We're on lap 16, Rob. So yeah, mediums towards the end. But having said that, they've stuck to their guns on the hards. They've got track position.
A lot of the midfield pitting here, so down to only 15 cars as well, so I think we've lost more than we did in Belgium already, so
yeah,
proving how difficult a street circuit is in comparison to a normal racing circuit.
It's been two pretty attritional races so far. Ralkio down in P14, which means that Renault are set to not score any points in either of the first two races, so it's been a shocking start to the season for them. And well, it doesn't really look as though Ralkio is going to be in contention for a points finish here. But you never know with how dramatic this race has been. Who knows? Who knows who's going to win the race even?
I mean, it's still up in the air. There's so many laps left to go. I think GT actually has enough of a gap here to pit and get out ahead.
Yeah,
so
30 seconds. It's obviously a bigger lane time loss here because of
the only thing to remember is JT is going to have to serve a 3-second penalty pitting here as well. So
I think it's a corner cutting penalty, and the corner cutting penalties don't get added on until the end of the Grand Prix. It's only speeding offences on the safety car that gets served, or collisions that get served in the pit stops. So, but we'll see. Potentially they might wait, but I think those penalties just get added on at the end. Yeah, they do. So they're just getting to work straight away on the car. Medium tyres on to go to the end. And this will be JT, yep, still in the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix when he comes out of the pits. So in the end, it's worked out pretty well for him. It hasn't cost him any time with TDB pitting behind him. And there is TDB just coming down the main straight now.
He is only going to have, by the time the safety car goes in, maybe 12 laps to get that 3-second gap ahead, providing TDB doesn't get a penalty, of course. So
yeah, well, he was actually streaking out quite far in front after he managed to get past Kex. But of course, now these two are on the same age tyres. And
Kex pitting, actually.
Yeah,
so.
new front wing as well for Kex in the Mercedes. So the once leader is going to be, I believe, out of the points. Or has he got the gap? He should have the gap actually to Kasu.
Yeah, I think all the cars behind him. Actually, no. Just going past now.
Yeah, no, so he's going to get outside the points here because Cobalt's going to get past him as well. Vapor will also see himself through, which will be another free position for him. And they'll be just in front. Well, not just in front, but in front of Lord.
What a race this has been. Just to show how, you know, dramatic it's been. Colin Robb, second place in quali, retired. Vapor Trench also retired. Last season's winner also out the race. And Vapor Canoe, who was on pole, is now in 11th, you know,
Yeah, well, there's been 4 wins from outside the front row here in Singapore. Never has a driver won from second on the grid here, which is an interesting stat, but with races like these, I guess it's not much of a surprise.
And also not going to happen today, of course, Colin Robb already out. So
yeah, he's out of the Grand Prix, so that second place curse in Singapore continues here in Season 7. JT then leading from TDB, and those two of course started right down the bottom of the order. This safety car has brought them up now to 1 and 2, so well, I was saying they were going to make their way up the grid. I don't think they quite thought they were going to do it in this way with drama and crashes and safety cars, but those two who struggled to qualify are now leading this Grand Prix with Vapor Matt in P3 behind them, looking for a podium in round number 2 of Season 7.
I do love the old lag spike where it suddenly looks like they've just decided to plough their car into the wall.
Yeah,
exciting.
sometimes it's difficult to tell.
I don't know how well Vapor Matt's going to do here, because of course the 2 cars in front on fresh mediums. He's on, I mean, only 4 laps old, of course, but hard tyres, so...
Yeah, well, he's got a bit of a cushion because Bazooka Joe and Harrison are also on older hard tyres.
Well, of course, as we saw earlier on, Kex got to about 12 laps on his mediums before he really started to fall off, so... Safety car goes in this lap, that's 14 laps of racing, 13 laps of racing on those tyres, you know.
And especially because there's going to be a lot of jostling as well. They're certainly going to be wearing their tyres out just that little bit more. So who has... So we've got JT and TDB on fresh rubber. Elian as well has just pitted recently. Vapor Cobalt, Keck Bendel, Lorda Lamb. They've all... But not drivers taking the opportunity to come into the pits. I thought Vapor would pit, but having said that, he is still 24 seconds behind Ralkio. So
yeah, he's going to have to drive quali laps here, I think, to catch up. So
he's not had the time to come into the pits because he's having to well, wear his tyres out, just getting to the back of this safety car queue. So you wonder how much chance Shea has of scoring points and whether those medium tyres might just reach puncture territory at the end of the 31 laps here in Singapore. 59 kilometres go through in the 50% Grand Prix.
Yeah, I can't imagine how tiring these are in real life, those 159 kilometres. I mean, when you consider the humidity and heat, and also you've got the engine right behind you as well, it's certainly not going to be a comfortable experience, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I remember 2014 Kevin Magnussen said his water actually boiled, his drink actually boiled in the car. So tried to take a sip out of it and got a little bit singed as a result. So yeah, it's always a difficult race, this one, for the driver to contend with.
So, prediction time, Rob. We've got about 13 laps of racing left by the time we restart. Who do you fancy to win this one from here, then?
I'm going to go with JT. I think he's going to have the pace to make up second, and they certainly got the poise as well in the Alfa Romeo. What about you?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that one. JT showed a lot of poise and pace in Belgium, so of course safety car in this lap, by the way, we saw that from race control, so the drivers will be getting those final preparations in on the tyres and brakes, making sure they're ready to go.
Well, who knows as well, of course, how long it's going to be before the next safety car in what has been a crazy, dramatic Singapore Grand Prix. There's lag, there's crashes, everything happening tonight.
With the amount of mistakes we've seen, it's possible someone just spins their tyres out in the wall, out the corner, that's it, you know?
Yeah. How tricky is it on cold tyres after a safety car restart, especially when they're not soft tyres?
Well, Lord Alarm getting a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Ralkio there, so I don't know what's happened at the back of the grid, or back of the field.
Those two getting pretty close, but JT has gone for it around the final corner, and he restarts the Singapore Grand Prix. TDB behind him in second place. Yeah, Bazooka Joe. Oh, and behind them as well, we've got Vapor King and Harrison. And Vapor King getting ahead of Harrison into turn 1. So that's the Red Bull being passed by the Alpha Tauri. P5 Vapor King, P6 now for Harrison. Elian right behind them in 7th place. On fresh tyres as well, don't forget. In the Racing Point car. Looking to make back up the points order. And now Kane's right behind Bazooka Joe as well.
This is the best time to build up that gap as well, because you haven't got the rest for the next 2 laps either, so this really
side by side with Vapor Canoe behind them as well. So Williams interested in this one. Vapor Shea is on the outside of Ralkio. Brilliant move from Kex Vendel. Now what about the battle between the two Williams cars, because Vapor Canoe and Lord Lamb are very close indeed. And Canoe ahead of Lord Lamb.
Oh, Vex is very close to Cobalt here, so he could be looking for an overtake.
Oh, as we look back at the two Williams cars, and there is very, very close indeed. As down the inside he goes. That's a late move, but can he put it off? Contact! Front wing damage. Here comes Vapor Canoe. He says thank you very much. I'll have both those positions.
Oh, Cobalt's going to be absolutely furious as well. Front wing damage.
Certainly will. Lord Lamb is now right behind Kex Vendel. I don't think he has. I think he got away with it.
Yeah, I think he clipped it with a rear tyre as he went past. You know, Alex Albon style almost. So.
Yeah. Vapor Shea ahead of Ralkio off starts, so the Ferrari driver looking to make up for lost time.
Yes, Cobalt goes into the pits. He's going to be absolutely furious, I'd imagine, right now.
He'll be livid with that. JT's already built up just over a second gap to TDB. Harrison is right behind Bazooka Joe. So, so Vapor King had got past Joe then. So Joe's been passed by King, and now he's got Harrison and Elian right behind him. Benjamin as well.
Oh, we'd not like to be in that car right now.
No. Got
Look how close the Red Bull is.
And Harrison trying to go round the outside of Bazooka Joe. Has Joe got the grip? Yes, he has. Harrison off the track. Look at Elian as well, looking very intrigued in this battle. Behind them, Benjamin.
Outside.
Oh, and now here comes Harrison. Oof, it's very, very close between these two. But Elian getting ahead of Harrison after that battling.
With how this race has gone, every time someone goes to overtake someone, your heart's in your mouth almost. You're just waiting for it.
You're almost expecting a collision every single time. Kasu has gotten ahead of Benjamin, and Benjamin as well defending from Vapor Canoe. No! They've done a Grosjean and Russell. Canoe flick around the outside of Benjamin. Benjamin didn't give up the position. Canoe kept his front wing right in there and ends up slewing Benjamin and himself into the barrier and potentially out of the battle for the points.
I think that's front wing damage for both as well, so you've got to think the stewards are going to have quite a busy day after this one today, aren't they?
They're not going to have fun with this. This is going to be a long night for them. Elian and Harrison still,
Elian's like 3 positions.
Elian's right behind Bazooka Joe, and is he going to have the run now down towards turn 1? He's not got DRS just yet, of course, after we've just come the safety car period. He hasn't got that to his advantage.
Just a bit further up the field, we haven't seen it, but Vapor King has overtaken Vapor Matt at some point, and he's pulled a 3-second gap on him as well. So
the podium places goes Vapor King. Has Matt got damage anywhere? No.
Maybe staying on those hard tyres, coming back to bite them a little bit here.
Certainly costing him a little bit, as here comes Elian trying to go round the outside of Joe. Can he pull it off? That gets very close. Oh, it's a fantastic move. Now he's got the inside for the next corner. Surely Joe can't defend that. Look at Harrison as well. He's looking to stick his front nose in, and he just about... Bazooka Joe manages to keep onto that position, but here comes Harrison. Can he send one down the inside? No, he can't. The corner's just too quick. Kasu, Kex Vendel, Lord Alarm right behind them. Vapor Canoe is surely going to have to come back into the pits with his Williams, which will mean Lord Alarm is going to be the lead Williams. Down the inside goes Kex Vendel, and Kasu just behind them. Has he got the exit now as well in the Mercedes? We've got action going on everywhere. Kex Vendel and Harrison as well. Very, very close indeed. And Lord Lamb getting in there. Vapor Shea looking to pass with Lamb.
Oh!
Ralkio's just behind them. Benjamin and Cobalt
so many penalties as well. I don't know who's actually got penalties at this point.
Penalties for everyone at the moment. Who knows how the race is going to end up? TDB is now just over a second behind JT, so TDB might well win this race. It's possible that he'll walk out the winner here in Singapore. Who knows? As Shea looks to continue his recovery up to the points. He is on for it. A lot of side-by-side action up there. Kex Vendel side-by-side with Kasu.
Through turn one.
That's very, very close. Can Kasu get ahead? Can Kex Vendel defend it? Look at Lord Alam as well. Alam now side-by-side. That's very close. He just about keeps ahead of Vapor Shea. Kasu and Kex Vendel still battling so close
Harrison
in front
as well.
of them.
He's look for a move.
Yeah, Harrison and Bazooka Joe. Harrison's not going to quite get ahead, but now look at Lord Alam because he's going down the inside, but Vapor Shea has now trying to put the move on him. Ralkio still defending from Benjamin just behind, so Benjamin looking to get himself back up towards the points. I think he's still on the same front wing that he damaged in the collision with Vapor Canute. As Alam just about stayed ahead of Shea for the time being. But Shea is on for a points finish because he hasn't got penalties, whereas Lord Alam has. So Alam at the minute is still going to finish outside of the points.
Look how close Vapor Shea is as well. He's so close behind Lord Alam. He's within inches of that rear wing.
Ralph losing the back end of the background. Kasu getting closer to Kex Vendel. Locking up a little bit is the Mercedes. Harrison still looking for the move on Bazooka Joe, but can't quite find his way past the Haas car at the moment. Still in P7 is Harrison. Kex Vendel 8th, Kasu 9th, Lord Alam 10th is the current tail of the points order.
Look at this train from 7th to 13th. All drivers in DRS range in like 6/10 of each other. This is amazing.
This is a remarkable Singapore Grand Prix. I'm not going to ask you for your driver of the day just yet because it's way too early to predict that. As
yellow flag in sector 3. I believe that's
that's a Kasu off. Kasu off in the background. He was looking so good for a points finish with Kasu, but he spun off and lost his front wing, and that is a nightmare for him. And just as it looks as though it's going to go well for one driver, it all of a sudden goes upside down again. Vapor Canute's up to P11
with front wing damage.
Yeah, despite a dead front wing. This is an unbelievable effort from him. Harrison is once again so close to Bazooka Joe. Kex Vendel so close to the Red Bull just in front of him. Lord Alam now in the Williams still being pressured by Vapor Shea. Vapor Canute is still battling on despite that damage front wing. A remarkable effort from him. He may yet finish ahead of his teammate Lord Alam because he's got penalties, whereas Vapor Canute does not. As Alam exits the corner and looks to stay ahead of Vapor Shea. It's still so close in front of them with Kex Vendel, Harrison, and Bazooka Joe. Kasu's out. Kasu's out of the Grand Prix. Had enough with that front wing. And that is him scoreless here in Singapore. That's going to be so frustrating. That's a little bit of a back end loss in there as Kex Vendel. No, still not close enough to Harrison. Harrison still unable to pull a move on Bazooka Joe. Vapor Shea so close to Lord Alam. Ralkio still looking good behind Vapor Canute.
Can you imagine the pressure Lord Alam's feeling into every corner right now? His mirror is just full of Ferrari.
Yeah, he is. Need to change of clothes after this Grand Prix and a fairly lengthy shower as well. The Shea almost getting his nose in, but Alam withstanding the pressure. Ralkio still trying to pressure them behind.
Kex is very close as well on Harrison.
Kex is right behind. Oh, look at that behind them. Vapor Shea. Can he get ahead? Well, Kex Vendel can't get ahead just yet. What about Vapor Shea? Oh, he looks for the move down the inside. TDB's got a penalty, so he might just have cost himself the win. Oh, that's an awful moment for TDB in the racing point. As we still look at Vapor Shea, and he still can't get ahead of Lord Alam. And Harrison still can't get past Bazooka Joe. Let's look at the battle just in front of them. Nope, nothing doing there. So we'll look behind. Lord Alam, Vapor Shea around the outside. Can he pull it off? They're both off the track. Vapor Shea down the inside, and finally he gets ahead of Lord Alam. The move was coming. It took a while, but finally he got there.
He's got to be breathing a sigh.
Ralkio's off. Ralkio spinning out in the Renault. And just as he was looking interested in the points finish, he's off the track as well.
Oh, Renault are having an awful day, aren't they? Awful 2 races ready to start this season.
Awful opening to season 7 for Renault.
Imagine how demoralising this could be for Lord Alam as well. Vapor Canute overtakes him with a damaged front wing.
Yeah, Lord Alam will be feeling very nervous right now. Although I think Lord Lamb himself might have a bit of damage. He does. So he's
Well, it's impressive he managed to keep Vaporshade behind him for so long then with a damaged front wing, really.
Yeah. I guess that's why he wasn't able to make any inroads on the cars in front. Vaporshade is now doing just that, though. He's within the second of Kex Vendel. Harrison still struggling to get past Bazooka Joe.
I think Kex might have about 6 seconds of penalties as well, so he could lose 3 or 4 positions here.
Yeah. Between now and 31, here comes Harrison with the DRS again. And is he close enough now to Bazooka Joe? No, he's not. Doesn't look as though he has the overspeed.
TDB's overtaken JT at the front!
Oh, he has! TDB's in front! TDB gets past JT! A late move for the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix! JT was looking good a moment ago, but TDB has closed the gap. They both have the same amount of penalties, I believe. So this is a battle for the win itself, and TDB is now in front of JT.
I was going to say, because when he got that penalty, he would have had to have overtaken him on track, and he's done it. A very impressive drive by TDB. He's gained about 2.5 seconds on JT.
We've been so interested in the battling going on behind, we didn't even see that until late. But yeah, TDB, we just caught the tail end of the overtake, and TDB getting ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, Vaporshade very close to Kex Vendel, who's fallen away from this battle between Harrison and Bazooka Joe. Kex Vendel gets so close to the wall. He's very squirrely here. The front doesn't want to turn in. Vaporshade. Oh, he's got front wing damage. He hits the back of the Mercedes, and that will give Vapor Canute potentially a little bit of a sniff at getting that position back off him. We saw last week in Spa when JT got the lead and lost it. Well, he lost it straight back again the following lap, so he's going to be interested here in trying to get back past TDB. This battle for the lead isn't over yet because it's still less than half a second, the gap.
Both drivers have no ERS as well, so it's going to be purely on fuel mix DRS here in exit.
Yeah, JT with DRS, he's in the slipstream. Has he got the run on TDB? No, not really. TDB's going to have enough, isn't he? Yep. So he manages to hold the lead, and for the second season running, we look to have a Racing Point driver winning the Singapore Grand Prix.
I mean, this is amazing racing. There's so much racing going on, we can barely keep up with it here.
Yeah,
so
this is incredible. This has been a mad race. Here in round number 2, it's been a huge step up from Spa, I can tell you that.
Action from the first lap, probably by the looks of it, right up to the end. Drivers all within, you know, we've got battle for the lead, battle for 6th.
Here comes Harrison. Has he got it now?
No.
No, but behind them, we've got a Vapor Canute getting past Vaporshade. So with barely any front wing left, Vapor Canute is still making overtakes, and he's up into P9. And now he's got Kex Vendel up ahead of him.
So right now, Canute's going to actually jump Kex and Harrison on penalties too, and possibly Elian. I don't know how many penalties he has, so...
Yeah, well, Elian in P5, he has got a 7-second buffer to Bazooka Joe, so I think he should be okay to just about hold on to 5th place. Vapor Matt's got penalties as well, so I believe Elian, I think, well, but depending on penalties, he might well get ahead of Matt.
I think Matt's only got 3 seconds, I think, but... I mean, JT's going to be putting quali laps in right now. He's going to be pushing that car as hard as it will go for these last few laps.
He's not going away, is he? He's getting closer and closer to TDB. Certainly hasn't given up on the race win yet, and TDB here is going to have to hold off a lot of pressure from the Alfa Romeo, whilst, of course, trying to avoid picking up another penalty in the process.
I certainly would not like to be driving at Racing Point right now.
No, that's not a pleasant experience at all. JT with DRS. He's got a little bit of ERS left, but not too much. Again, he's not close enough.
3/10 so by the time we get into this braking zone. So 4 laps of racing left. It's going to be a close one.
Crazy stuff. Vaporshade still looking to close back in on Vapor Canute, but Canute looking to get up into 8th place on the track.
Look how close Canute is to Kex Vendel as well. So close behind him.
Kex is going to have a bit of a problem here defending from the Williams. I mean, this is incredible. He's barely got any front wing left, and he's still making up position. Harrison in front of them is right behind Bazooka Joe. Oh, hasn't quite got him yet, so Harrison has to stay behind. Oh, very close between those two. I think that's more lag than anything else. And Canute is ahead. Canute gets past Kex Vendel and into 8th place, and that will, of course, as you mentioned, Matt, will be more than that because of penalties as Bazooka Joe in front of Harrison. Meanwhile, JT
so close,
all over the back of TDB in this battle for the win. Still both on 3 seconds worth of penalties, so it is all or nothing really between these two. Matt, I'm going to ask you now. I don't know why I'm asking you now, but driver of the day.
I honestly can't say. I think these last 3-4 laps might decide it, to be honest, because it's been such a hectic race.
Well, let us know in the comments who you think your driver of the day will be, but that could all change in these final few laps. Who knows? Because anything can happen. It all has happened so far in Singapore. Harrison still stuck behind Bazooka Joe, still frustrated, not just because he's stuck behind him, but also because he's got these penalties as well. That's going to cost him to Vapor Canute behind. Vapor Shea, meanwhile, has gotten past Kex-Vendel. So Kex-Vendel now down to 10 because of his gap to Cobalt. He should keep hold of points, paying finish come the end of the race here in Singapore.
JT is getting closer and closer as well. Every time we go down that DRS straight, you see the interval getting smaller and smaller. It's going to be... Maybe he's trying to time his overtake, possibly, to do it so late he can't come back in.
Maybe. As we rejoin them once again. Stev Max says 17th to 3rd. Vapor King. Yep, good shout.
Good shout, yeah.
Very good shout on the podium at the moment.
I didn't realise how many positions he'd gained, to be honest.
Oh, it's been such a mad race. I don't think anyone's noticed as Kobat's come into the pits to Benjamin out to P11 in the Alfa Romeo. Still, by the looks of it, won't be enough for him to claim a points finish.
JT must be so frustrated. Every time they go through Sector 2, he gets within about 3 tenths, and then through Sector 3 he drops back by a few tenths, and it's just too far away from him to be able to overtake him.
It may just be about that one late braking manoeuvre. So little time left in this Grand Prix, so few opportunities left for JT to steal this victory back away from TDB.
Good run here. He's going to be close as they go into turn 1.
TDB who himself won 3 races last season, looking to open his account here in season 7, but that is by no means assured because JT right behind him is a little bit further back, I reckon, than he was before. Yep, half a second behind.
I thought he got a much better run there because he closed up quite a lot on the timing screen, but it was just a bit of lag, unfortunately.
Yeah, so TDB comfortable at the moment. Well, not comfortable, but comfortable in the braking zone at least there.
And Harrison's still stuck behind Bazooka Joe. I can't imagine how mad he must be getting in that car.
He'll be swearing every swear word under the sun right now, particularly because Vapor Canute... Oh, he's got another penalty!
No.
So Vapor Canute's definitely going to be ahead of him. And, well, he won't get ahead of Bazooka Joe because Joe doesn't have penalties. But I wonder here, can Vapor Canute take 6th place on track? With how much trouble Harrison's having getting past the Haas, I'm not too sure. But he certainly can get ahead of Harrison, and if Harrison loses out to Vapor Canute on track as well, he'll be absolutely livid, having spent so long stuck behind Bazooka Joe.
Well, of course, a lot of the field's kind of spread out now. You kind of got Harrison and Canute, but then I think all eyes are on the front now, aren't they? 2 laps left to go as after they come through Sector 3, so it's all or nothing now, really. You've got to be committed.
This is going to be a tense finish. It is all to play for. Both of these two have penalties, but it's the same amount of penalties, so it is it's fair game really as to who's going to win. It's a straight battle between TDB and JT.
TDB just seems to be getting the better exits out of corners a lot of the time. That's what's keeping him ahead, I think.
Yeah, still half a second behind is JT. He needs something special, or he needs a mistake from TDB in these final couple of laps here in Singapore.
I mean, just one knock-up could do it at this point. It's getting close enough.
And as we've seen, just that one mistake can cost you so much around this track as JT gets a little bit squirrely on the exit, and that'll just cost him a little bit of time. Ralchio's out.
What a miserable race for the Renaults. It's
Renault with a terrible evening, and just 13 runners now in Singapore as JT continues to be stuck behind TDB.
Who's crashed in Sector 1? I think that's going to
Vapor Matt. Oh, Matt's hit the wall, so he was P4. He's now behind Elian, and Vapor Matt here, depending on how much damage he has, I think he might end up behind Bazooka Joe. That looks pretty bad on the front wing on the Ferrari. And all of a sudden here, Bazooka Joe will be looking at that on his timing screens and thinking, you know what, I might just have a shot at P5, particularly as well because Matt has penalties anyway. Yeah. So Bazooka Joe could... He could get well, no, he won't get P4, but he will get P5 on the timing screens. He might even get it on track if it goes slow enough. As Harrison
look at that. He gained a second through that corner, so he might.
Surely he will. Vapor Trench lost the podium here last season after a last lap puncture. Matt could lose more positions because of his mistake, and JT with that mistake there has just surely cost
Matt's
himself
slipping more positions as he crashed again.
I think Matt's off again, and he's taken Bazooka Joe with him. Oh no! Bazooka Joe and Vapor Matt both crashing. Bazooka Joe was looking to take the move off of Matt, and in so doing, he's ended up in an incident with him. That is infuriating for Bazooka Joe. He was looking so good for a 5th place finish.
Oh my god, Canute might be up into 5th place somehow.
Yeah, Vapor Shea getting past, and Canute will be up to P5 because of his penalties. He won't get P4 because he's not got the gap to Elliot. I'll tell you what though, JT has made the gap back up. He's half a second behind TDB, who just has to keep it on the road.
Last lap now, it's a bit of lag there, just raised my heart rate a bit, jeez. Oh, look how close JT is!
Oh, JT's so close, does he go for it?
Oh, he's gonna have, if he gets a good run here, he's gonna have DRS.
No, but he's gone wide, hasn't he? He's gone a little bit wide as JT, but it's now or never, surely, as they approach turn 14.
I think he's just going to take second.
Yeah, he'll have to pay the percentages in the championship race from this point. Bazooka Joe's in the pit, so he's not going to score any points. He could get the fastest lap though, as TDB comes up towards turn 18. Underneath the bridge they go for the final time. It doesn't look as though JT's going to have any opportunities as Kex Vendel gets ahead of Vapor Matt, who's still struggling. Matt with his front wing damage took out Bazooka Joe in the process. He'll be fuming at that, will Vapor Matt, but round the final corner comes TDB. He wins an extraordinary Singapore Grand Prix. JT has to settle for 2nd place at the end of it. Vapor King, who started P17, will take P3, but all 3 of the podium finishers started this race right the way down the back of the grid. What a race in Singapore.
Yeah, 17th, 18th and 19th on the podium. What
crazy stuff. An extraordinary race. Crashes everywhere, safety cars everywhere, lag everywhere as well. And, well, Vapor Canute, he'll finish this race in P5. Elian takes P4. Harrison, they're home for 5th place on the track, but Vapor Canute will take 5th off him.
I think he ran out of fuel as he went over the line as well.
After such an awful race for Vapor Canute, he'll probably take 5th with that front wing damage. Vapor Shea up to 6th because of Harrison's penalties as well.
I think the key thing to take away from this one is that the stewards are going to have a lot of messages and videos directed at them after this one. There's been a lot of incidents.
Oh, Vapor Matt's lost his whole front wing, and through goes Lorna Lamb. Oh, Matt still takes P9 because of penalties. So Kex takes P10, so he does score points in the Mercedes. Bazooka Joe and Vapor Cubbett will come home for P12 and P13, but for TDB, it's the 2nd race running that a Racing Point has won the Singapore Grand Prix, and the man who won 3 races last year is off the mark in Season 7. An incredible race for TDB. He gets driver of the day as well. I don't think there can be many complaints about that, having started so far down the order. What a race. He crashed out at Spa. He wins in Singapore.
And all that craziness, I don't even know who got fastest lap.
I don't think Bazooka Joe got it. I doubt he did. But that's such a shame for Bazooka Joe, because he was on for such a good finish before Vapor Matt crashed and ended up taking Bazooka Joe out. That will be one of the many incidents, as you say, Matt, that will be looked at by the stewards after this race is done.
I would love to have seen TDB's reaction though as he went across the line. I can't imagine he was restrained in his celebration, that's for sure.
I can imagine there was a massive, well, more than a sigh of relief, shall we say, as he crossed the line. But it is TDB with a remarkable performance that takes the win. JT in 2nd place for Alfa Romeo, and Vapor King in 3rd place. JT did take the fastest lap to take that point. Elian in P4 for Racing Point. Canute started on pole. It was an awful race, but he gets P5 at the end of it. Vapor Shea in P6 for Troy. It was a race that was looking terrible for him at one point as well, and he manages to get himself back up to 6th place. Harrison in 7th Red Bull, 1st points of the season for him. Lord Lamb in P8. Vapor Matt in P9. Kex Vendel P10. Benjamin P11. Still no points for him this season. Bazooka Joe in P13 for Aspen, teammate Cobalt, and Ralkio, Kasu, Cohen Robb, Luke Prentice, Jack Prentice, TRT James and Vapor Trench. The long list of retirements here in the Singapore Grand Prix. It was a race where the leaders got sent to the back. The drivers who had an awful qualifying ended up right at the front. Crashes everywhere, lag everywhere, drama every single corner of the race. And at the end of it, it's TDB who runs out the winner for Racing Point. 2 races, 2 winners. What a Grand Prix. Good night.